In this video I'm going to show you how to replace the alternator on this 2012 Chevy Impala with the 3.6 liter V6 direct injection motor. Step 1, just remove this engine cover to gain access. Start by removing the oil cap, and then it just pulls up. Oil cap back on. Remove the negative battery cable, the 10mm. Get the oil dipstick out of the way, and that's a 15mm bolt. Oil dipstick back in, and then remove these two 15mm bolts. And then finally this 13mm bolt here. Now you have to detension the serpentine belt. The tensioner is right here. It's kind of a tight fit, but use a 1/2-inch drive breaker bar and attach it to the front of the belt tensioner. And then pull the breaker bar towards you to release the belt tension. And then you just have to reach in there and sling it off the alternator pulley, as well as the idler pulley that's directly beneath the alternator. Kind of hard to see, but hopefully you can see that. Now you're going to have to remove that idler pulley right here. Use a 15mm. This idler pulley bolt also doubles as the third alternator bolt, so it's kind of long. There's a very large spacer on the end of it, so be ready to catch that if it falls. And that's what it looks like. Now I got to remove the electrical connections for the alternator. Start with the charging wire, pull this boot. That'll reveal a 13mm nut. Now remove the electrical connector for the regulator. It's beneath this wiring harness here. And it's just got a little tab on the top that you push and then pull it out. Now take a 15mm wrench and loosen this nut here. Remove the nut, and then you can slide this little wiring bracket thing off. Get it out of the way, or as out of the way as it's going to get. I like to go ahead and thread that nut back on the stud to stop the alternator from falling off completely while you're loosening the other bolt. Now remove this other bolt. It's also a 15mm. Now get hold of the alternator and remove that nut. completely. It should just pull right off. There we go. Now just kind of get these wires out of your way. Hold the alternator and just carefully work it towards the middle here. Alright, just drop the new alternator in the same way the old one came out. Alright, just grab the new alternator, get it on the stud. The nut in place to hold it up there. Go ahead and get the two alternator bolts in place, but don't torque any one bolt down yet. Go ahead and put that bottom bolt with the attached tensioner pulley. Here's a little trick if you're having trouble finger turning the bolt. Just wiggle the alternator while you're turning the bolt. And once you've got that bolt started a couple of turns, you can go ahead and tighten it down. Torque down the bolt about quarter turn past snug or so. Now go ahead and tighten down that front bolt. Now back off the nut once again. And go ahead and get this electrical retainer back in place. And then go ahead and torque the nut down. Same thing, quarter turn past snug. Okay, go ahead and reconnect the regulator. Now I can go ahead and reconnect the charging lead. Just get it on the stud and then get the nut tightened down on top of it. Alright, go ahead and tighten it down. But be careful, do not make this over tight because this can easily break. Now go ahead and reroute the belt. The easiest way to do this is to get the belt around all the ribbed pulleys and then afterward decompress the tensioner pulley and then slide the belt onto the idler pulley that's just below the alternator. There you go, just like that. Alright, now you can go ahead and reinstall the motor mount. It kind of clamps onto this upper core support here. Dipstick back out of the way. Once all the bolts are in place, go ahead and start tightening them down. And I'll go ahead and reconnect the negative battery terminal. I remove the oil cap and go ahead and set that engine cover back on. The engine cover sits on these pegs here, so just got to line it up with those and the oil fill hole. Be careful not to knock any dirt, garbage in the oil fill hole. And then it should just press on like that. Oil cap back in place. And that's it, you're done.